guys, we are live with the second game of day 3 of the Houston Premier League, game number 8 in total of this tournament, and it's the Knight Riders facing off against the Gladiators. And let's have a look at the toss to find out who won it and who's batting first.
So we're live from the second game of the day between the Knight Riders and the Gladiators. Probably a virtual final, so to say, but you never know what fate has in store, so we'll leave it at that. We've got Mr. Brian Walters, who is the toss representative and also from the board of advisors of the Punch Body, and we've got Myron and Sadiq. So Sidesh is the home captain, Majid is the home captain, and Majid will spin the coin and Sidesh is going to call. Heads is the call from Sidesh.
It is heads.
And it is heads. Sidesh, you have won the toss. Please step forward. Sidesh, before we get to what you're going to do, sitting pretty in the finals, so did you expect that before the 6th game of the tournament you would already be in the finals?
So after yesterday evening, even in my interview, I said that we would like to be number 1. We were confident about that. We had a close game there. We had some ups and downs, but it's good that keeps the boys their socks up. And but yeah, I'm happy to be in the final, and we'll be taking this game seriously because this is a turf wicket. Tomorrow we'll be playing the final on the same wicket, so all the ups and downs have to be covered today. So yeah, looking forward to this.
And unless there are some very major upsets and some unthinkables happen, you'll most likely be facing the Knight Riders. So happy about the prospects against them, or if that's a team you actually fear or think that it would be a keenly contested game?
To be really fair, both teams or all 3 of us are equally balanced. So whoever the top 2 teams come is going to be a good final. These guys have players who played on the third wicket a lot. You know, they have Janivai, Rizwan Chima, Majid himself, Rayan Patan. So all these guys have played enough third wicket to know how to take the game. So they're a good formation side.
And going with the same team, or you got some changes?
We've got some changes. Sridhar, Aditya and Saifullah are out, and Neeraj, Dheer, Sankrit and Sri.
All right, Sidesh, best of luck for your game. Majid, any major changes in your team?
No, same.
You're going with the same playing 11, and you guys convincingly won against the Stars, and most likely, as we asked Sidesh, we'll ask you the same question. That 1 foot in the final. Any concerns going into the final? Any injury scares? Feeling pretty confident? How's the mood in the camp?
No, the mood is very positive. Thank God. No injuries. Pretty much, we're just focusing on one game at a time and playing basically every game at a time.
This camera is probably not going to make it beyond the HPL. It's like
The whole point is to
hot,
take every game
baking
at a
right
final.
now.
And it doesn't matter if
It's so hot out there.
competition.
And we just want to know how's Brian doing. We saw him limp off. Is he perfectly okay?
Yeah,
now?
He's better. He's much better.
No, it's
took
not
a
even
painkillers resting.
Shayan, it's Sidesh.
He got a little surgical
It looks like
procedure
Sidesh.
yesterday
Yeah,
here
it's not
in
Shayan.
a hospital, and I think that kind of put him back on his feet. But today I think he was trying to take a catch at first slip, and it slipped when he was taking, and it just kind of gave him a little pinch. But we told him to go out and have a good rest. But he's much better now.
Thank you so much.
The first ball being bowled by Jawad Khalid is wide down the leg side.
Majid, wish your team all the best for this game and also most likely for the finals tomorrow. And speaking of the hospital, we always have to thank our sponsors. So we'll zoom in on the UMMC logo right there. They've been a trusted supporter of the Knight Riders and also of the Houston Premier League. So thank you, Majid, and all the best for your last game. Thank you, Brian.
Sir.
So we're live from the second game of
Back live, Sidesh takes the strike, and it's work to mid-arm, who's still on his heels after a pretty sumptuous lunch. And they get through for a single, which brings Manav on strike. Brian, welcome back to the commentary box. How was your lunch?
My lunch was spectacular as usual. The folks at Louisiana Kitchen know what they're doing. It is Louisiana Kitchen, correct?
Uh-huh.
Louisiana Kitchen, we truly appreciate them sponsoring lunch for the players and the commentators every day for this entire tournament. So I would happily recommend that those of you who are able to be anywhere near the vicinity of a Louisiana Kitchen, particularly the one close to the stadium or to the facility here, to come by and visit. And this one is cut down to the third man fence. In fact, it goes all the way across the boundary for 4 runs. Old-fashioned late cut there. You don't see the late cut played very much anymore, but this ball was wide enough and short enough that he could get back on his back foot, man up, and cut that ball down to third man. The third man was a little bit too wide to be able to get to it. So 4 runs to the total, which now moves to 5 without loss after having had 3 balls bowled so far in the innings. Oh, this ball is cut right behind point. Point fielder slows it down, doesn't stop it cleanly, but in fairness, let's just say he stopped 3 runs. The batsman jogged through for a single, but the alternative, had he not gotten a hand to that, is that it would have gone away for 4 behind point. So the score moves up by 1 to 6 after 4 balls in the first over. A lot of changes being made. People are shifting around in the first over here. 2 fielders allowed outside the circle, of course, in the power play. Those 2 fielders currently are at long off and wide third man. So about 90 degrees of the field is covered in the deep and the remainder is wide open. Those balls stay. Oh, in fact, it gets through him. It bowls him. Ball maybe kept a little bit low. Sudesh could not get his bat down quickly enough, and his off stump is knocked back. So Jawad Khalid strikes very early in this game, and immediately the Knight Riders draw first blood against the Gladiators. Score is 6 for 1. So Captain Sidesh Patare has to unfortunately take a seat. Unfortunately for him, early in the innings, he's being replaced by very, very talented Shayan Jahangir. Shayan, who stamped his authority in the Houston Premier League in a brilliant final last year, and so far has performed more than creditably in this inning, or in this tournament so far. At the moment, he is looking at a bit of a repair job along with Manaf, because they've lost an early wicket. And of course, losing an early wicket in these sorts of tournaments, particularly on a wicket that I think it's fair to say maybe not as you'd expect from maybe a concrete wicket. And of course, it will test the batsman more. It will test his mettle, it will test his technique. And this is the type of wicket that you want to be playing on, the wicket that offers an even contest between bat and ball. So Shayan Jahangir with what I believe would be the last ball of Jawad Khalid's first over, 6 for 1. Almost an identical delivery to the one that took the wicket. And in fact, there was an additional ball that was missed, so we are now looking at the last ball of the over. But that penultimate ball negotiated safely by Shayan Jahangir, who was able to play with a straight bat, defend effectively. And he looks to drive here, gets a thick outside edge and the ball runs away down to third man. Third man fielder over, picks up and returns. And the end of a very successful over here by Jawad Khalid. 1 wicket down, 7 runs on the board. Your thoughts so far, Munir? Starting out kind of interesting.
Yeah, it's kind of been a start where both teams are just sitting back and waiting for the other to throw the first punch. And obviously there might also be that element of both of them trying to play safe, well within their limits, and not pushing themselves or trying to pick up any injuries as such in the process. They've both got a big championship final unless the Stars pull off a miracle on the Bilkis field in the game that's going on right there. And speaking of which, let's quickly check what's the update from that game. The Stars are 47 for 1 in 5 overs, with Ramiz Raja Jr. batting on 29 of 19 balls, and Sean Finlay, who just walked in, batting on 6 of 3 with 1 6. And Mohammad Farooq, who came in to open the bowling, has been dismissed for 10 runs of 9 balls. And guess who gets the wicket, Brian? The under 19 Hamza Khalid.
Oh, awesome. Of course, we've spoken about that so many times this tournament, that the U19 players are showing that they belong at this level. And the U19 player who gets the wicket of a top order batsman on a concrete surface, that says so much about his ability to locate the ball where he wants to, and more importantly, his mental. The ball is struck very firmly, but right to Jermaine at extra cover. Feels relatively clean, at least cleanly enough that the batsman cannot take a run. So Janisar Khan is who has taken up the attack from the opposite end. Oh, beautiful delivery, right in the channel outside off stump. Jahangir Cheyenne plays forward, completely misses that ball, dances away from him and collected enthusiastically by the keeper. 7 runs a total, 1 wicket back in the hutch. Oh, goes uppish this time, over the top of extra cover. I'm pretty sure that went all the way. We'll confirm here with the fielder. In fact, yes, it does get the signal. Both arms raised by umpire on the far end. 6 runs over the top of cover, 13 runs to the total. So it really speaks to the ability of these batsmen who, even under pressure, if they get a ball that they think is in their zone, they absolutely go through with it. And in this case, this ball was lofted beautifully over the covers, going all the way for 6. Well defended. Well, again, rolling out to Jermaine Levine, who's had so much work to do today, both in the outfield and in the infield, and with the ball. 13 for the loss of 1 wicket. Aside from that one big hit over the top of cover, a relatively sedate start so far. And once again, Jermaine Levine is in the action. Your thoughts so far as you see this match developing?
Yeah, no, it's I can guarantee you that'll be a really good game. It's just sort of a preview for the final, what to expect. And as of the toss, one of the captains actually just said that, you really want to give that a go and see, overcome any of the weaknesses if there are any of the team. So I think that they're just preparing to do well tomorrow.
So, for all intents and purposes, you can probably think of this as a finals preview. would you like, if you were on a team that was playing, that you were pretty sure was going to be playing in the final, would you like to play your or a match against your opponent in sort of a pre-final match similar to this one, or would you like to only meet them once in the final? What are your thoughts?
Jawad runs in to bowl. Yeah, as they say, like every day is a new day. If regardless of my position, or if I have to face the team in the final twice, I'll back myself every time I come up against any team. And having said that, I mean it's Jawad runs in, tries to cut it. Slightly late on the quicker delivery. Yeah, it also provides me with a good opportunity to assess not only my position, but to look at their weaknesses and their strong points, but even my own team as to whether it's actually a good opportunity to have them before the final. A day before the final would be pretty awesome, which is happening here. Drives, fielder chasing it, going close to the boundary, and the batsman complete too easily on that delivery. And throw actually missed by the keeper. That's a rare occasion. And hits the stumps. Or was it the keeper which took the bails off? We never know, right? And that's why I said keepers have got special attributes. Batsman just taking his time to settle in. Jawad comes into bowl. Again, tries to smash it, cover, but not cleanly collected by the keeper. But no run, a dot. So if you were the captain and you were actually having this preview before the final, what specific things you'll be looking for in your position or in your own team combination?
Ball sails right past the outfield, or past the keeper rather, for 4 byes. So 4 byes signaled by umpire Myron. I would think, by the way, that's the end of the over, and pending confirmation, we believe the score is 20 without loss. Oh, sorry, 20 for 1. We'll get that confirmed here shortly, but 20 for 1 after 2 overs. I would think, if I was virtually sure that these would be the 2 teams that would meet in the final, you go into a match similar to this with sort of some things that are settled in your mind. You basically know who your best batters are, you know who your best bowlers are, but some things may not quite be settled. Maybe in terms of the approach to the innings, where do I send in the number 3 who's a big hitter and try to take advantage of hitting over the top during the power play, or do I maybe keep that person back a little bit so we can accelerate towards the end? Maybe I'd think of it as an opportunity to experiment a little bit, where if it doesn't work out the way that I'd want for it to work out, I at least have the luxury of knowing that here, this is one thing that I thought about doing, but I don't think it's going to work in this instance. So when we get to the final, I have one less variable to worry about. So in many ways, it could almost be seen, like in American sports, you have preseason matches. In some way, this could have been seen as a preseason match where there's some things that you can try, and then if it doesn't work the way you want it to, then you at least get to check a box that sort of reduces the variable as you go into the actual final.
Janasa Khan comes in to bowl. Batsman cuts it into the deep for an easy single. Yeah, it's an interesting field set. I've seen a slip for the first time, and it's none other than Captain America in the first slip. Wonderful fellow. Met him just yesterday and spoke really well when you interviewed him. Again, cuts it for. Batsman thought of a second, but then settled down only for a one. Yeah, no. Majid actually raised a really nice point about yesterday that when they went for a dinner together with the whole team, they sort of got everything. They just to have a fresh memory. Come next morning, forget about what has happened and have a fresh start. So I think I really liked his approach. Jan Shah comes in, batsman plays straight to the fielder, no run. Yeah, so just because you're leading from the front, and if you are not sure, you're nervous, you're not confident, you're not letting your players enjoy the game, then it doesn't give your side a good opportunity to perform at their best. The ball kept low this time. Batsman tried to have a cut, and umpire Sajid signaled wide as soon as the ball passes the striker's stumps, and then re-signaled it to the scorers. Really good technique by this young umpire. Yeah, so his approach of contributing towards creating an environment for the players to perform. Can get in the deep for an easy single. Yeah, letting the players enjoy the game and perform to the best of their ability. So really liked his approach and thinking over there. Your thoughts, Brian?
I may be biased because I've known Majid for, as I mentioned earlier, a number of years, probably 20 years or more. I've always been impressed. I'll return in a second to that thought. Punched out in the deep to a young U19 player over there who's doing really a good job patrolling the boundary, and frankly who's shown a very strong arm throwing in from the deep. Every single throw comes right to the keeper without bouncing. So again, I've known Majid for probably half of his life, and I've always been impressed with how good of a leader he is. He's a fantastic cricketer, but an even better leader in my mind. This ball is skied. It's going to go over the top of the man, a short third man, and in fact run all the way to the boundary now. Walid Ahmed could not get there. 4 runs to the batting side, and we now are at 28 for 1. Again, pending further confirmation from the official scorer. 28 for 1 at the end of the second over. Third over, rather. End of the third over.
I'm showing 20 for 1.
20?
I'm showing 20 for 1. It takes a little time to come in. 20 for 1 at the end of last over. So this over 9 for.
So again, pending confirmation, we believe that the score is 28 for 1 after 4 overs. And from the commentator's box end, we now have Jermaine Levine into the attack. Jermaine will be bowling to Cheyenne Jahangir. Jermaine, of course, left arm orthodox. His asset, more than anything else, is his control and his ability to land the ball almost exactly where he wants to land it at every point. So not much danger in putting him to bowl in the power play overs. Ball punched through the covers. Couple of runs. Yes, they jog really through for the second run. Fielder there backward point, didn't exactly collect it cleanly. He had a chance to maybe even effect a dot ball or else hold him to one run. Wasn't able to field it cleanly until they run through for two. Fly to delivery, and it's sort of punched into the offside. The batsman scampered through for a single. Score ticks over to 31 for 1.
Yeah, Jermaine bowled pretty tight in the last game as well, conceded around like 19-20 runs off his 4 overs. And he's continuing to do that here as well. He reminds me of a player who plays Big Bash in Australia for a team called Hurricanes. His name is Clive Rose, who actually is a left-arm orthodox spinner, bowls for them and starts the. And that just tries to leave it away and then straight to the fielder at point. And there was none other than Captain America himself.
So I think you just saw a little bit of evidence here, Paul, that when you build pressure, number one, if you come into a game like this with a reputation for bowling really tightly, and you build pressure with a couple of dot balls, then you create an environment where the bowler or the batsman feels obligated to have to go after you. But he, instead of going all the way after him, he didn't chip all the way to the pitch of the ball. He sort of chipped halfway, and there was enough turn and did not get to the pitch of the ball, beaten in the flight. Ended up just sort of top edging the ball where he was aiming probably over extra cover, but got that thick outside edge and ended up scooping what really was a pretty elementary catch to the fielder at point. Captain America himself, Majid Rizvi. So by our count, 31 for 2. Again, we retain the right to be corrected if that number isn't exactly accurate. But we do know that 2 quick wickets have gone down, and we are 31 for 2 in the 5th over.
We've still got an over left for the power play. We'll see what the data is.
Batsman? I think it's Gaurav Bajaj. Shayan Jangir and I think Gaurav Bajaj. Shayan, no, Manav is the red pants, and this is Gaurav Bajaj.
Gaurav Bajaj is the new batter.
No, I met him there. He's there. Okay, yes. I was going nuts. I tried everything, and none of my infographics are working. And I was like debugging and stuff like that. And then I walked up there after 15 minutes. I was like, have you turned on the overlay? Oh, I forgot.
So my last result for the batsman is Gaurav Bajaj.
Yeah. Most likely.
Ball comes in. Batsman seems to be in 2 thoughts. Initially attempted to play at it, and then at the final moment decided not to. But I think he brought the ball in his reach, so that's why it was in a wide. Jermaine comes into ball to Gaurav. Gaurav just plays it down, cover, and they complete a single. That completes the 5th over for the innings.
With our standard disclaimer, we believe that the score is 32 for 2 after 5 overs. So the last over of the power play remaining, and this appears to be Farooq Tariq. Is that him? Check that in just a second, but we believe that's who this is about to take up the attack at the far end.
have a capacity.
What's up?
Wow. That is fantastic. I don't know if Suresh wants this or not. I'm going to frame this and present it to his wife.
You probably won't want this at all. This is perfect. This is absolutely perfect.
I'll send you that one already. I'll go through the rest of it. We'll send you the raws as well so that I can apply the batch. Or if you want to send me I can send it to you. I'm doing it. Okay, I can even. Yeah, but I'll be here tomorrow. I'll check the Facebook page just to be message. It's fine. That's fine. Do you mind if I show you the damn inside?
It's unusual.
I'm deep. I can't hold my one.
What is the score?
I think they're 30 for one.
32 for 2.
5 of us.
So Farouk Tariq is the bowler from the far end. Sixth over in progress, scores 33 for 2. Ball short and such a stylish shot by Shannon Jangir. Very Caribbean about that shot. That back foot flick off of front foot raised in the air as it went off of the back foot, flicked it through backward square, 4 runs. Really, really stylish shot.
Yeah, quite impressive. Farooq Tariq comes in. And Gaurav Bajaj just pushed it for an easy single. Gladiators are not cruising, but still, after the loss of 2 wickets, they're still sort of trying to settle. And what they need at this stage is a good partnership to have a good platform for the later batsmen to come and have a go at the bowlers. Bowler comes in, batsman just cuts it nicely into the deep for an easy single. Yeah, the youngster has got a really good arm. He just throws it with one arm straight to the keeper from the deep. Farooq comes in. Gaurav tried to play a forward short, but inside edge was lucky to miss the stumps. Went behind the keeper, and the batsman took a single on that.
You see a very definite plan developing here for this batsman who's on strike now, who I believe is Cheyenne, who apparently loves to cut through the offside. So the fielder who referred to earlier, the young U19 player, we'll get his name shortly, he drops back to the boundary. And for the other batsman, Gaurav, he comes inside the third man, or inside the 30-yard circle. So again, you see definite evidence that there is thinking and there is planning going on in the Gladiator side, Knight Rider side rather, and it is really interesting to see the different varieties of mentality when it comes to field positioning, when it comes to approach, when it comes to what sort of approach each bowler is going to have versus the other bowlers. It's really encouraging to see all of that being developed right in front of our eyes.
Yeah, and credit goes to the captain, for having that match awareness, about the opposition. He's busy, he's a busy man, just adjusting the field, just having a look around every single time. And that makes a hell of a difference, especially in the shorter format of the game, where the bowlers haven't got many overs to, show their skills. So the first power play has finished. Now you can have 5 feeters outside the square. Bowler runs in, bowls to Gaurav. Just goes on his back foot and plays a defensive shot. Ball goes straight to the bowler.
Now I finally got it to work. Let's see who's on there. Oh, it's doing the projected score. Yeah, Gaurav and Shine. Beautiful. How's it doing the projected score? I never saw that. Must be on that. Yeah, it's like Brian took over.
I think the software just got jealous that I was getting all the attention.
Well, this is a good opportunity to see, the projection by the software and your prediction. Let's just
I
compare the two.
refuse to get into that argument.
Yeah, I won't tell you what the software said, but we'll get your input first.
Well, by the way, you're still due for answering those two. Oh, yeah, I did answer the two.
I answered very definitively, and I don't care if I'm wrong, I was definitive. So I would love to hear your answers to those two questions that you asked. Hopefully, at the end of this over, you may proceed with what I believe is going to be proving me wrong. But again, I think numbers count, and Dr. Siddiqui and I were on the same page, as was our listener who responded earlier, Rana. But the three of us wait with bated breath to hear what your response is going to be. Oh, what a beautiful catch. Oh, that is an absolutely stunning catch. Now, so the batsman was not moving. Shayan Jahangir was of the opinion maybe that we were going to have to confer with the umpires to see whether or not that ball carried. But umpire Myron put his hand up, or put his finger up very definitively, and in no uncertain terms indicated that the wicket was in fact valid. The catch was taken by the field at Michael
Both of them
Point.
took off. Oh, okay.
No, it's
Cheyenne.
So a brilliant catch there. Taken, I do not know who the fielder was, but that ball was undoubtedly taken right off of the turf. That could not have been more than an inch or two off of the turf, and hit very firmly, hit very hard. He went low to the ground, got his hands underneath it, and completed what is an absolutely stunning catch.
Yeah, catches win matches. Third wicket down for the Gladiators.
Gladiators.
Yeah, this was a scenario where if we had technology, we could have easily referred it to the third umpire, confirming whether there was any contact between the ball and the ground, which the batsman thought, which they always do. But now, I think umpire Myron was in a better position, and he confidently put his finger up, even though it's not required on a court dismissal. But good piece of umpiring again. My team is doing really well for the last 2 days. Really proud of them, boys. Keep doing well. Thank you.
Part of watching and witnessing good cricket, in my mind, also includes seeing excellent performance from the umpires. So it's great to hear that our visiting umpire from Cricket Australia agrees that the level of umpiring that we're seeing in this tournament is worthy of mention. Banging target again is Jermaine Levine. Over, up, and another wicket is down. So again, by my count, we are looking at a score after after 6 overs of 41-for-3. I'd love to hear the answer to those questions now, if you don't mind. If you don't mind, let's run through the scenarios again, and then this time give us the correct answers, and we'll find out how wrong I am.
Well, there's a good news and a bad news. Which one would you like to hear first?
Give me the bad news first.
When a batter doesn't show any intent to play the ball with the bat, he's not entitled to get any runs. So once he doesn't offer to play the ball with the bat, and no matter what happens later on, the umpire simply calls a single dead ball even if the batter runs, and send the striker back to his original end. So in that scenario, umpire would have called a single dead ball. Batsman hits for a straight drive for a single. Yeah. So had the batsman ran on that before it hit the boundary, umpires, as I said, would have called and signal dead ball, let them complete the first run, just in case if the fielding side, because they haven't done anything wrong, had an opportunity to run out any of the batters. And if they don't, then send the striker back to the original end. Batsman hit it for a single, nice and easy single there. And because the fielding side has not done anything wrong there, so if after hitting the ball, after the ball hits the pad and then the bat, and they subsequently catch it, then it's game on and the batsman would be out. So you were partially correct.
So I was right. Check that. So we have just gotten a full toss that was punched right back down the ground for 4. We'll get the name of the batsman in just a second, but in any event, so back to your question or back to your scenarios. In scenario A, Garv is the one who just punched that ball right back down the ground for 4. And again, we'll get the new batsman's name in just a second. So in the scenario in which you described, just to confirm, Farouk Tariq, short ball, and this is pulled away behind square, dismissively in fact, and goes away for 4. So if the batsman is not making an attempt to play a shot, even if the ball comes off of the bat, he cannot then decide, hey, the ball is trickling towards fine leg and towards third man, I can run here. So even if he attempts to run, assuming that they complete the run, you then signal that ball and everybody has to go back to where they started. But if they have not yet completed the run, the fielding side still has the opportunity to run them out. That is an absolute new one for me. I stand corrected. But in a minute, we'll go to my scenario where I was right. Played into the covers.
Yeah, before you go to that, in that first scenario where the batsman did not attempt to play the ball and it came off the bat, let's say it went subsequently to hit the keeper's, the helmet behind the keeper placed on the field of play, they still won't going to get any runs at all.
No penalty runs.
No penalty runs. Because if you not allow any leg pass, you won't going to allow any additional penalties.
Oh, another ball which is short and going down the leg side, and this is really effective batting, but one might have to consider why it is that with a fielder only at fine leg, that we're continuing to feed the ball down the leg side, which he's just helping to the boundary for 4. So he's done that twice already in the over. We believe the score is 51 for 3 after 8 overs, but we will confirm shortly. But so back to our scenario. No runs. If there's a run in progress in the fielding side, affects the run out, the batter is out. And if the ball hits the helmet, there are no 5 penalty runs added. Really, really interesting. Absolutely did not know that. Now, if the batsman is not attempting a shot, the ball pops off of his, let's say his thigh pad, and then onto the bat and loops up in the air. Catch is taken by a close infielder. Jermaine Levine again. This ball is helped effortlessly, 2-3 bounces and crosses the boundary ropes now. So 4 more runs. So runs are now coming thick and fast here. So in that scenario, the batsman definitely is out.
Yeah, just say that again, Brian. I just probably was distracted with the.
So the ball comes off of, the ball is bowled, comes off of the body of the batsman. Let's just say for argument's sake that it was his thigh pad. Then rebounds up off of his bat, and the catch is taken by a close infielder. Then the batsman is out.
Yeah, as long as there's no contact between the ball and the ground, yeah, the batter would be given out. And, you know, I'll just advise you something. Jeremy comes in, flighted delivery, played straight back to the bowler. I shouldn't say advise, but yeah, just for knowledge sake, when you say a batsman attempted a shot, there's a difference between batsman attempting a shot and the batsman attempting not to play the ball with the bat. Sorry, I should correct myself. There was a chance of a run out. The ball wasn't cleanly collected by the man. This seems to be the bowler in a bit of trouble because it was a sharp throw. Flighted delivery again, straight to the fielder, no run. Yeah, so technically, according to the language of the law, batsman not attempting a shot and batsman not attempting to play the ball with the bat, these are 2 complete scenarios. I'll give you an example on that. Ball runs in, and the batsman plays a straight drive and straight to Captain America. And the batsman easily completed a single. So, you know, batsmen, often you see when there are silly mid on, silly mid off, where, you know, batsman sort of comes really forward and he might attempt to play a shot, but if he's hiding his bat behind the pad, that is where the laws clearly state that he might be attempting to play a shot there, but he's not attempting to play the ball with the bat. And that's where, even though he might have come forward nicely, but the bat was behind the pad, and then the ball subsequently goes behind the keeper or whatever, umpires would not let him score off that delivery, dead ball, yeah. So Ricky Ponting was pretty good at that. So umpire on the day, you have to adjudicate whether, you know, he had a pure intention to play that delivery or not. So, yeah.
Well, if Thursday was undergraduate level and yesterday was graduate level, pretty sure we're in the PhD program at this point. And we'll call this class scenarios that might never ever happen in the Austin Cricket League or the Houston Cricket League for that matter.
I think, Brian, by the time this tournament is done, we already have enough knowledge for the cricket field. We now might start applying it in real life, like at workplaces or with my wife, you know. I'm the hand of the law now.
Sorry, I cannot go with that decision. This truly is educational. In all seriousness, this is really educational. So the new batsman, the new bowler now is Rizwan Chima. Chima, who had a very, very good game in the first game. First ball of the over is inside edge down to short fine leg for a single. So, in what we believe is the 10th over, the score is 62 for 3. Correct. 62 for 3, 9.2. Quick single taken, oh, beautiful piece of field in there. Quick pick up and throw, not correct or not collected completely cleanly by the keeper, and the batsman scrambled through for a single. So 63 for 3 with 3 balls remaining in the 10th over. Ball is punched down to the outfield. We'll probably be able to run too comfortably here, and we do. 2 runs additionally. Score is now 65 for 3. Ball stays low, and Gaurav does well to jam his bat down and keep it out of the stumps. More than anything else, he's happy just to have survived that delivery. That was tricky. This ball now punched a little bit more easily into the gap between mid-wicket and long on. They still keep it just to a single. This is the difference between an urgency in the outfield and lackadaisical nature in the outfield, because both the mid-wicket fielder and the long-on fielder charged that ball very, very actively. And it turns out that there was not any chances taken by the runners to take on the arm of either fielder, and they restricted them to 1 run. So at the end of the 10th over, we're halfway through the innings. We are at 66 for 3. 66 for 3 out of 10. So halfway through the innings, we're at 66. Where do you think we end up?
Yeah, I'm just trying to compare this game with the first game we played. So I think they've lost Gladiators have lost a few wickets, but they haven't had a bad start. I mean, they still can aim for 150 sort of score. What a straight head over the boundary for a 6. Gaurav was just listening to what I just said, so he's aiming for now 150 there. To the contrast, rather than the fielding captain getting, angry or shouting, it's just the opposition, actually the batting side, are yelling at it.
And that's cut to sweeper cover. He's going to keep it down to just a single. So, coming to that, it gets pretty entertaining, Brian, even when the Gladiators are playing at the Moosa Stadium and their folks are sitting in the pavilion, because the Gladiators franchise is primarily backed by the HICC family, the Houston India Cricket Club, and they are, one of the most well-run, well-administered clubs in the Houston Cricket League, and they get big numbers at all their games. And with the Gladiators in finals tomorrow, I think we should expect to get valet parking and an extra parking lot, because I think they are coming out in big numbers to support the Gladiators, especially because the Gladiators have been part of the HPL since the very early days, and they are always one of the strongest franchises. But so is Destiny, that they haven't yet won an HPL title. So we wonder if this is the year. They've looked the strongest team, they're top of the table right now, and now they're headed into the finals tomorrow.
Any Bollywood music and stuff tomorrow?
Kicked the way down, final leg for 4. Let's see if that's off of the bats. In fact, yes, it does appear to have been off the bats. 4 runs down to final leg. Some Bollywood music would be a great touch tomorrow. In fact, I'd accept any. I'll leave it to the powers that be to decide on the cheerleaders, but Bollywood music I can handle. We may have to.
You can handle cheerleaders, right? Don't underestimate yourself.
I'll share a story on that. Bowler comes in, batsman tries to cut it, but in 2015 we had the Cricket World Cup in Australia. So I did my maths and I realized that if Pakistan wins certain number of games, they most probably will be able to qualify for the semi-final at the SCG. I was in Sydney at that time.
Okay.
So I bought the ticket in advance. I didn't buy the ticket for India-Pakistan game because I knew that Pakistan would be smashed by India, and that was the case. But being so optimistic, I bought the tickets, and guess what? Pakistan didn't qualify.
Did not.
And India played the semi-final against Australia at SCG. And that was a sight. Like, there was so much noise, there was so much support for the Indian team. It felt like that we were having a game in Mumbai or somewhere in India rather than in Australia. There was so much Indian crowd, music, it was lovely. Like, I never saw such a crowd at SCG before.
Anyone who follows cricket at any level knows that the Indian cricket team fans travel very, very well. If you're watching the World Cup now, if India is playing 90% of, well, maybe 90 might be an exaggeration, but a healthy majority of the fans in the stadium are Indian. Indian cricket team, I don't know if you know this or not, is going to play a couple of T20s here in Fort Lauderdale, in Florida, in August. And suffice it, against West Indies. Even though Florida or the Fort Lauderdale area, this ball is lofted into the outfield, a couple runs at least, and in fact it does get all the way to the boundary for 4. So without belaboring the point, even though Jamaica is only an hour and a half flight from South Florida, and even though if you see a black person in South Florida, they're more likely to be Jamaican than American. And even though there are tremendous numbers of people from the Caribbean living in South Florida, I guarantee you that the stadium in Florida is going to be easily 90% Indian. Easily. That team travels very, very well. Its fans are extremely loyal and they support the team regardless of where on the planet they may be playing. So that may be a thought for you to come back and watch that match.
Straight to point, no run. Now you're making me rethink now to change my return flight to Australia and extend my stay in America. No surprises. Like, wherever the Indian team goes, there's huge amount of support. And if they decide to play snow cricket in Antarctica, you might have supporters there too. Who knows?
Awaiting confirmation on the score. 10 overs having been bowled, we believe. And the score is...
1177.
Check that.
1177.
11 overs bowled. We'll verify that just a second.
Oh, 11.4, 84. This last 2 balls 9.4. This is still showing 11.4. Sorry.
information as of this point is at the end of 12 overs, the score is 85 for 3. 85 for 3 with, again, the ability to be corrected if that information is presented to us.
Yes, sir. How are you, sir? Good. Nice to see you. This is Brian, and this is, how are you, sir? Excellent job, guys. Brian, Yusman is UMMC's team owner, Night Riders team owner. Good to meet you. You guys did an excellent job. We'll be watching you on the TV. Thank you so much.
So Walid Ahmed taking up the attack again from the commentator's box end. Well, driven into the gap between backward point and the fielder station, that squarish cover. Single. Score ticks on to 85 for 3.
I'm gonna feel bad when I come out. Right?
80. Were you asleep in there the whole time?
Yeah, I was fine.
Lucky you. Lucky you.
Ball is punched very easily down to Laman. Quick throw. Good fielding generally has been of a high standard, particularly in looking at the throws coming in from the deep. All of the throws are very accurate. Most of them arrive into either the keeper's end or the bowling end without bouncing. And particularly when one of those fielders making those throws is a young under-19 player. That's good to see. Oh, jams down on the ball there. Ball trickles behind points, and they run a single.
I was going to say, Majid, if you can move just to your left or right, you've been blocking our viewfinder all this time.
I think it's too big.
Just kidding, man. You're the captain, the field is yours. And Brian, talking of the World Cup and the Indian team, there's been a surprise. I think I just found this out. I walked over to the Gladiators dugout, and some people were following the World Cup games. And a surprise change on the table is every team, now the league stage is over, and India have topped the table and Australia number 2. So India-New Zealand is a semi-final, and Australia-England, a white ball version of the Ashes. So I think no one expected that upset that Australia would lose to South Africa, and India were expected to beat Sri Lanka today.
Wow.
And talking of the Indian cricket team, we also have one of the stalwarts and most recognized faces of the Houston Cricket League from Houston India Cricket Club, Yogesh Patel, here. And Kaka, as we all lovingly call him. Kaka, one thing we needed to ask you and need your comments on is Gladiators are in the final, and we're going to request you to ensure that we have the parking lot full, the pavilions full, and the stands full, because you are the only person who probably in Houston cricket can pull that feat off. Can we expect hundreds of audiences tomorrow for the big final?
Well, I can guarantee that I'll be here, but I'm sure, knowing the heat and but I think I'm gonna do my best to put it in every source I have it through the social media and my personal contact to make sure that at least people will think that what is going on, and I'll try my best to. By the way, you guys have done a tremendous job of this tournament, and it's just like people don't know what they are missing. It's such a high quality tournament, and like you can see the players, and like if somebody doesn't show the stands and something, and you say that this is going on somewhere in India, maybe millions of people might start watching it. Okay, that kind of thing is there. And I think the facility looks great. Everything is perfect. And let's hope we get more people in there tomorrow.
So Yogesh, I've known you, I don't know, a few decades.
About three decades.
Let's say 3 decades. When I was a little kid. So when you started playing cricket in Houston in the 1970s, explain to anyone who is watching, and as Captain Majid Rizvi takes up the attack from the far end, explain to people watching what was cricket like in Houston in the 1970s versus cricket in Houston in 2019.
I think the beginning was very humble when I moved in here in 76. Few people I saw when in my apartment go and play cricket. So I said I joined them. We used to go to Rice University and there are open fields where 10, 15 of us will hang out and bowl and bat. And one day a ball rolled over and touched a lady walking through. She complained. So the Rice University said, you have to buy an insurance to play cricket here. So we said, we can't play here anymore. So we walked away and started looking for some other place to play. Luckily it happened that there was a church on Bel Air and Kirkwood, and we saw some Englishmen and some Pakistanis in white dress playing cricket there. So we were surprised what is happening. So we went there and met them, and few of them said, we work for Chevron Oil Company, we come from England, and this is our church, and we love to play cricket, so we're playing. So I said, you can have a game with us? They said, well, we don't have enough people. Oh, that's a beautiful shot. And they're taking 2 runs. And what happened, they said, we don't have enough people. So we said, we are about 15, we'll give you a few. Why don't you have some? That's how we started the first game between Chevron and Houston team. And since that area is more populated with Indian, Pakistanis and West Indian, so a lot of people start seeing us there. So people asking, so I think my captain Wasi Ansari and I think Peter Hines, who passed away, he was there, part of it, and Dr. Sarwar Naqvi, who used to be part of cricket that time too. So they 3 decided, okay, why don't we make 3 teams, India, Pakistan and West Indies and Chevron, so we can schedule game next year. So that's a humble happening, but after that, more and more teams join, and since over the last 10, 15 years, a lot of young people has come and managed the game so well. And I think Houston is lucky because you know the Texas League also started from Houston. Same with the Austin League also. All those players used to play. Lucky prime example is Brian Walters. He's the one who was a kid in Houston and he started the big league in Austin. So, but I think overall, Houston especially is very lucky to have beautiful shot pulled down to the square leg for a boundary. And I think we have people like Saki Bhai, who has provided us such a beautiful facility in here in Houston. And I think we all should be thankful to him that now all our players are able to play on a good turf wicket, which is most essential if you want to move up in the standing on the cricket, or if you want to qualify for the US team. And now you can see that 2 or 3 stars, Jash Karan, Jani Khan, and everybody they are up there in the US team. So I think we all should be thankful to Saki ma'am.
That's a great summary of the last 30 years or so of cricket in, more than 30, last almost 40 years of cricket in Houston. So I moved to Houston in 1982. I was a young 14-year-old. This is before the information age, so it took a few years for me to understand that there was actually cricket being played here. But once I found out that there was a league here, I joined up. Of course, I joined up, if you remember, with first Unique Cricket Club. After Unique, David Francis, who insisted on opening the bowling because he was the one who rolled the wicket, even though he bowled medium pace. And on top of that, you understood at that time that even though there are several different pockets of cricket throughout the Houston area, one of the, not only the best run clubs, but the most open and friendly and inviting clubs was Houston India Cricket Club. I can tell you, I still, at 51 years old, wake up in the middle of the night with nightmares bowling to the HICC guys. It took me, I don't know, maybe 5 years of bowling to Digesh before I bowled an over to him that went for fewer than 10 runs. But it never mattered, no matter what the result was on the field of play. If we're playing at HICC, immediately afterward, after the game was finished, you all would invite us in, we would have drinks, we would have food, the camaraderie was there, the respect for each other was there. That is one of the things that I've always respected and loved the most about your club in particular.
Thank you, Brian. I think we, as a team, over the years, we have kind of like established from the beginning that we love the game. We will fight hard on the field. But as soon as the game is over, here you have, oh, great catch. Rizwan Chima. Now you can see what he can do, not only with the bat, but in the field too. He ran all the way down and beautiful catch. Sliding down. And like cricket is a fun for us. It's like winning is important, but winning is not everything. Okay? It's just like when we step on the field, we want to play hard. But once the game is over, we are friends, have a few drinks together, food, and enjoy and joke with each other. And that's one of the reasons the success for HICC is we always we tell everybody, okay, this is a family. You are part of our family. You're not just a player only. And he says when we play against others, we just respect them, same way we respect each other. That's the way it should be.
I've always appreciated that. Obviously, when you're playing on the field, you want to win. People's emotions get involved. You get aggressive sometimes. Somebody wants to bowl a bouncer. Somebody else wants to be aggressive in some ways. But at the end of the day, we are people who are doing nothing but playing the sport that we love. And I love what you said about family, because my impression has always been that your definition of family extends beyond the HICC. And it's most important to me, you mentioned Peter Hines. Of course, Peter Hines passed away a few years ago. When Peter Hines passed away, it was not just West Indians or Jamaicans who were at his funeral. Some of your guys were there also. When unfortunately we lost Rudy Hodge a few months ago, you all were there also. So more than anything else, it creates a feeling of family and a feeling of sort of togetherness that we have all united under the umbrella of cricket, that we've come from completely different environments. Our cultures are very similar in some ways, but in other ways are completely different. But we've all united under this banner, and it is one thing that I'm most proud about.
You said it very right, Brian. That's the reason, like, I feel that not only HICC is my family, but the whole cricket community is my family. And I think I'm very, very fortunate that I have earned the respect of all the players from every team. I think even as youngest guy to maybe a 60 years old guy still call me Yogesh Kaka. I guess everybody knows me as Yogesh Kaka. But I think that makes me feel proud that at least I got respect for everybody. And with each and every team, we have gone through fierce competition over the years, rivalry, but at the end of the day, whenever they meet out in the public or anything, they will just hug each other and talk about our old days and stuff like that. So it's like, I think I have gained lot more from the cricket than what I have given to cricket, okay? That's my feeling is.
That is a wonderful feeling, and of course, we won't talk too much politics, but I will say that when I was considering whether or not I was going to put my hand up and run for a seat on the board, I gained so much information from your perspective, and you were one who guided me the most in that decision-making process. So I want to thank you for that as well.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much. You're welcome. But my point is at that time also, my lookout for is what is good for the U.S. cricket. Is cricket is the only one I'm looking what is how we can benefit that. I didn't care who is the president or who is not president. It doesn't make any difference. But if there is a people who are not doing the right thing, I have always raised my voice, whether some people like it or not. But maybe I'm not 100% right every time. But I look at from my perspective and tell it what I feel, and I don't hide my feelings about those. But I think hopefully with the new board, there are some question people have now because it's just like we're not getting too much information. Oh, is it out on a full toss ball? I think that's Johnny Bhai. Jawad Khalid. Oh, took a catch in the covers of a full toss ball. One more wicket down for the Gladiators. And I think U.S. cricket has a little bit secrecy there right now, but hopefully within next few months they will come out and say that what their plan for the organizational structures, especially the structural for the zonal tournaments and national tournaments, because you can't depend on just national team and there is nothing else is happening. You have to have a structure where national tournament is held and everybody has a fair shot of making to the top.
So there was a fork in the road there, and we're going to take the fork over on the left-hand side. So everything that you just said is exactly accurate, and the last thing I'll say about that part of things is that I have confidence in that things are moving in the right direction. I know that in the right moment, there are some of us who are currently in the community who will be called upon to serve in some capacity. I know for a fact that if I ever need anything in Houston, I can call you and you will be right there. And that part of it, in my mind, will never change, because I know that people who genuinely are stewards of the game and who care about the game will sacrifice whatever they need to make sure that the game succeeds in this country. And for that, I thank you. So, turns out that we're actually watching a game here. I'm sure it's been 5 overs since we've said the score. So, according to the scorecard that is in front of us, we're at 101 for 4, but I think that's incorrect. We'll get you an updated score very, very shortly. Yogesh, thank you very much for everything you did. Thank you.
If you need a cold one, let me know. You want it? I'll get it. How about you, sir?
No, sir. Thank you. I'll have water.
You want some?
Oh, I'm so happy.
If I need an invitation,
I couldn't have asked you about halal one.
Oh! Quick single taken there in the middle. Beautiful, quick piece of fielding there by Walid Ahmed at backward point, but at the end of the day, they do run a quick single. So Rizwan Chima continues the attack from the far end. Again, the most recent score that we have is 101 for 4. We do believe that that's not exactly accurate. We'll get you a recent or more updated score as soon as it's available. So we're in the weather pattern that it will be for the next, 4 months here in Houston.
Wow.
So do you think that you could survive temperatures like this for the next 4 months?
Yeah, not a problem at all. I was born and raised up in Pakistan, so yeah, this is home for me. Even though I've been living in Tasmania for the last 4 years, there was a quick chance of a run out, but ball wasn't collected completely, and batsmen sort of made the ground.
Umpire Sadiq, square of the wicket, and then signal 2 balls remaining.
I've slightly dragged your vision from watching the game into watching the umpires. And considering we haven't got female umpires yet in the game, you know, you might get into trouble, you know, watching the game.
This is only there's a line between so what's it gonna be 110 something?
So at the end of what we believe is the 16th over, the score appears to be 105, 106 for 5. And again, apologies for those of us those of you who are following along on the broadcast. There is a bit of a time delay between the live action and the scorecard, so it's a little bit difficult to track sometimes. But generally speaking, we're thinking that the score is about 106 for 5, 105, 106, let's say 106 for 5 at the end of the 16th over. So 17th about to start, Walid Ahmed to continue, and 106 for 5 is the score that we're going with until told otherwise.
I have a quick word. I am from Australia.
Australia?
Cricket umpire. यहाँ पे मैं असल में भाई के पास आया था अपने qualification.
107 for 5, ball punched into the covers and the batsman scampered through for a single. Score moves on to 108 for 5. 108 for 5, 2 balls having been bowled in the 17th over.
तो उसमें टेस्ट स्पेसिफिक है कि मैं आता इन लोगों ने मुझे कमिटी नहीं उठा दिया हालांकि मैं अच्छा स्ट्राइक आता है तो
Ball punched into the outfield.
आप भाई कुछ में
Single taken, so the runs are coming in ones and twos. In fact, mostly ones in the last couple of overs, which is something that I don't think Captain Majid will mind at all.
आपकी जो आपने बताया मतलब you summarized really well, you know कितना effort आप लोगों ने किया
Oh, hammered right back, the bump ball, spectator scat right back to Walid Ahmed. At the end of the day, it's just a dot ball. Score remains at 107 for 5. 2 balls remaining in the 17th over.
ग्राउंड ऐसा होगा ग्रास में भी खेल सकते हैं तो we do
Flight to deliver this time. A slow ball is pointed into the outfield. 1 run taken, and very aggressive fielding there by the young man in the deep prevents the second run from even being considered. And he gets applause from his captain, Majid at long on.
और next day आके
108 for 5.
66 फीट लंबी मैदान
Check that we're now 110 for 5. Batsmen are Jay Singh and Sridhar.
That was also okay, nothing, no problem. But in Houston, the rain can come
And
anytime.
this ball is whipped to the outfield, and a couple of bounces to Rizwan Chima in the deep.
It rains support so much.
Thinking they'll only have 1, and yes, they do in fact only take 1. So the score at the end of the 17th over is 111 for 5. Umpire Dickie Bird, wherever he is at this point, is probably hopping on one leg. Or maybe that would be David Shepard.
This one is lucky. Very good people coming in here.
111 for 5 at the end of
Biggest staff
17.
in the league after that, over the year, except pick up one guy or something. But most of the time, the president who has come, they have taken a good interest and keep the game going on and keep it organized, the league more organized and stuff like that. So we are lucky that we got quite a few good people who become president over the years, and everybody has stepped in. I've been president 2 times, so that's better than a couple of other guys. But it's just like a lot of effort by everybody.
अच्छे नहीं यहाँ पे नाम भी लगते हैं फर्स्ट क्लास क्रिकेटर्स और नेशनल क्रिकेटर एक्सपीरियंस सारे
हमारी टीम में खेलते हैं अभी उन्होंने 6 साल का छोटा ही 70 I'm 71. And he's 2 or 3 years older than me.
So back live. Rizwan Chima to continue the attack.
In 79 World Cup,
couple of steps down the wicket and punches this ball down to long off. Single taken. So yeah, these balls or these runs are being taken one at a time. Tremendous job of bowling by the Knight Riders to restrict the batting side to ones and twos. And this ball is cut just behind point. Jawad Khalid runs and picks this ball up, retrieves it very quickly, gets it right back in one bounce, right over, or right next to the stumps. Restricts the batsman to 1 run.
If we want to be successful, we have to promote the young guys to move up in the run the. We in our club, I'm always there. I don't hold any position, but I tell them, younger players, you guys have to take the responsibility. That's why have you met Kuldeep Patel? He's our club president, plus he's very well known by everybody. He's a great organizer. Yeah. He has connection with everybody. He has another cricket job, Moosa Patel has come. And recently, Umesh Yadav is coming to Houston just to visit him. In fact, he was very young kid, and then I saw the potential in him. So I told him, I want to be captain of the team. So that's why, like HICC has won 10 championships in the last 18 years.
Everything is strong.
Who's in the
But I think it's overall it's kind of a lot of
that
cricketers.
PJ. Okay. Yeah, Sridhar is the top.
So back live, Sridhar, Rajaram, and Jay Singh are the 2 batsmen. Bowler is Rizwan Chima. This ball is lofted 1 bounce to the fielder out at long off for yet another single. By our count, the score is 115 for 5 in the 18th over. Ball is punched right, just past the outstretched hand of Rizwan Chima. The shy at the non-striker's end is very athletic, but in the end misses the stumps. The batsmen again go through for a single at the end of the 18th over. Score is 116 for 5. 116 for 5.
The thing is that freezing so much, I wonder if it's because of the heat.
So nothing like on a really hot, sunny, sticky Houston summer afternoon to have a cold drink to sort of calm things down for you. What are your thoughts?
Well, I won't be talking about the halal beer I have in Sydney and what was said to me, but now everyone has got a right to enjoy, so I enjoy my cold bottle of water.
A very active fan base here. Jermaine taking up the attack. Oh, this is a stumping. Oh, Jay Singh went dancing down the wicket, trying to get to Jermaine. In the first part of the innings, we saw somebody else try to get to Jermaine, not get all the way to the pitch, and ended up spooning a simple catch to point. In this case, Jay Singh completely misses the ball, probably turned away from him just a touch, and a very easy stumping completed by the keeper.
Yeah, nice collection by the keeper and made it look so easy. I think Gladiators are trying to score quickly here.
So just before the previous ball, there was very interesting exchange of words between the long off, long on for the Knight Riders, Majid and Walid, and the next batsman in. And so is the destiny that the next ball the wicket falls and he's had to walk in. So I'm sure he would be greeted by some nice words by the Knight Rider fielders. And that's a nice trailer for things to come tomorrow. These two teams are already exchanging pleasantries before the final. Very bubbly and chirpy set of boys on both sides. Not holding back.
Munir, just as a reminder, if you don't know, West Indies and Pakistan have not qualified for the semi-finals. So if you can just stop referring to any of the references now for the semis and final, that would be much appreciated. Thank you.
But Fawad, the job at hand is for us to run a production in the double coach finals tomorrow. So how do you think we get past that predicament?
No, madam, I was just kidding, and I think India looks really strong there. Even before the World Cup, you know, they have good spinners, good middle order, good bowling attack. Batsman will go at it, missed it completely. I think the intent is quite clear now. The batters are trying to score as quickly as possible, put a decent total for the Knight Riders. Jermaine comes in, bowls. Batsman tries to cut it straight to point, and he tried to take a quick single but unable to do so. Jermaine has been bowling tight, kept a tight line even in the previous game.
Quicker ball and lofted into the outfield for a single. But yes, they're coming back now. They change their minds and keep it to single. So a couple of additional comments by our dear Mr. Yogesh Kaka.
I think we were talking about Houston cricket long time, and now in this tournament you can see quite a few youngsters who have done very well, and they've been groomed by different teams like Laksh Parikh, Samiullah, and there are quite a Pare and quite a few other youngsters who have been part of it. I think in Houston it's always been we have tried to that. When we used to take a Houston team out, we always used to take out 2 or 3 youngsters with us so they can be groomed, and at least they may not play all the games or anything, but being with the seniors, they get a great experience. And I can tell you from my own personal experience that in our club, everybody knows Kuldeep Patel. He has represented US and plus he's our club captain for many years. But when his young kid was 3 years old, he used to come to our cricket ground all the time, and we just play with him all the time. When he was about 14 years old, he started little grown up and got the big, and then started bowling fast bowling. But surprisingly, he went in high school and joined the baseball team, and you know, his cricket experience has taken him so far that he became one of the best pitcher in his high school at Clement High School, and he got drafted by the scholarship on the UT San Antonio, and he played there for 4 years, and he's one of the prime pitcher for that team, San Antonio. He had the highest season 105 strikeouts in 80 plus innings. So what happened is he graduated this year, and it was a surprise for all of us, not for us, but for many people, that he's being drafted by the Major League Baseball team, Chicago White Sox. And currently, we are really proud that currently he's been assigned to the Montana Rookie Premier League, and he's doing very well. I think what I heard last, that in 4 games he has had 1 win, 1 save, and 1.35 ERA, and with about 12 or 15 strikeouts in 4 games. So hopefully over the years you may be looking at a local Indian guy in a major league team, and we wish him all the best.
So wonderful that you pointed that out, Yogesh. Those of us who are around the Houston area all, of course, know Karan very well. Karan makes us all proud. Number one, just because of the fact that he's just a great, great kid. Such a great kid. But beyond that, he's a fantastic, fantastic athlete. And any athlete who could play cricket at a very high level and then at some point switch to baseball. Yes, the skills in some ways are very similar, but it still takes a certain amount of dedication, a certain amount of want to be able to excel to the extent that you get drafted by a major league team. And in the meantime, this ball is slapped into the outfield. They come back looking for a second, but in fact they only end up settling for one. But those of us who have known him and Kuldeep and their entire family for this entire time are so proud of the man that Karan has become and of the athlete that he's become. And we wish him all the best, and I'm very glad you brought that up because that's important. So back to the cricket, we believe that we are in the 20th over, and we are 121 for 6. Make that 122 for 6. And we believe there's about 2 balls left. Jawad Khalid is the bowler. The batsmen are Niraj Dir and Sridhar Rajaram. Niraj on strike, facing Jawad. Score, I think we just heard 1-2-2. That may be the score. Lofted into the outfield. One bounce taken easily by the long on fielder who immediately gets that ball back in. Good backup by the keeper. 1-2-3 for 6. And if I'm not mistaken, we do have 1 ball remaining. We'll confirm all of these scores at the end. Yeah, 123 for 6 is the score. 1-2-3 and this is the last ball of the innings. Hammered through the offside, sweeper coming in off the boundary. You better believe they'll be going for 2 here. A beautiful throw coming in by the young man, just bounces short of the pitch. They run 2. 125 is the final score. 126 the target. So a relatively low scoring game relative to what we were expecting. Of course, the pitch this morning, I think, as compared to this pitch is a little bit more appropriate for batting, I think it would be fair to say. So maybe a little bit below par on the score, you think?
Yeah, considering the conditions we had this morning, but the teams were still able to score like around 150 plus. I thought the conditions have eased up now. The sun baked the pitch, so there wasn't much in the deck for the bowlers. But I think they've bowled extremely well, really tight lines, and have not allowed the Gladiators to score. I think it'll be tough for their bowlers to defend a low total. But having said that, because the players have been busy playing for the last 3 days, they're a bit tired as well. So it'll be an interesting to see how Knight Riders, who have been dominating, come with what sort of plan they come in. So. Likes of Chimas and all that, if they have a really good go and stay there for more than 10 overs, I think we might be looking at an early finish, but who knows? It's game of cricket. Glorious uncertainties, as you say, as said by Mr. Brian Walters.
That's come up already a few times today. The game of glorious uncertainties. So, 125 or 124. I believe will be the target, and we will resume here in probably the next 10 minutes or so. And so here we are, back on in a minute.
Okay. If someone hits it, so one just stands there and looks crazy. I don't understand how they
So you understand that they're two people back. Each time they switch positions, that's one run. So somebody gets the ball, that's one run.
I was thinking this.
That's
See,
one.
what time was this?
So that's the target. Literally run back. No, two. Each time you switch positions, it's one. So you start out here. One. It goes like a home run, it goes over the fence or over the rope that goes around the field. No, over the rope, in the air, that's 6.
Oh, okay.
If it crosses the rope on the ground, that's just good.
I just need this.
So if you hit the ball into the rope, like it's been done a few times already today. Each time, as long as it goes over the rope in the air, that's 6.
Okay, but if it just goes far.
Correct. So if it, I don't know, why is the home run 1 if nobody's in
That's a great question for me.
4? There's a grand slam.
I know that too. I thought it might be some rational.
I mean, the rationale is just the number that was arrived on. Our dear friend here might be able to give you some of the history.
No, I'm not the number. I'm saying why is it?
Let's go home fast and
Because it's a bigger hit. So if I hit the ball and it trickles on the ground all the way down and it stops.
It's okay.
Once luck hit it all the way over, then that's it. Now, there is no limit. It's a matter of
At least give you some little pull it by inside. I want to help you. I don't want you to be sitting in the sun.
Thank you so much. When I grow up, I want to be just like you, Saki. Oh, oops! Who put this bottle of soda here? Where did this bottle of soda come from?
This is originally meant to be 2 seats.
I hate when
Everything was planned properly.
I see that.
Only have to put a permanent seat. That's all.
I hate these bottles of soda show up at random.
See? At least you can.
So Monique made us sit in the sun yesterday at this time.
Yes. Well, this is how unintelligent we are. It never occurred to us yesterday.
When the umpire will not give it, he has not given out. We are getting hot.
Everything comes to the umpires, you know.
And we came home all tan, all red.
Yes!
Do something
Sitting
about
here
it. I was like,
roasting.
what am I supposed to do about this?
And we don't need any 10, do we?
No. That's the last thing I would need is to be more tan.
This started to respond too the moment we took it out of the sun.
Did it?
You know,
Awesome.
Munir, if we put a camera on that side up, you can show that game too by turning.
Ooh,
you know, on the controlling the same one.
Yeah, I can.
It sounded like you just added a couple zeros to the budget.
10 times more.
You know what I'm doing though? I'm getting rid of all your problems. I'm putting Alex coming. I'm gonna put a cable already. A camera,
Really?
so just hook it up.
Yeah.
Really?
So that you're all this little bitty camera holding, going, zooming. It's a good zoom though. I mean, you were zooming yesterday. We could see other people from there, in between, from there. You know. Yesterday, it's a good zoom, man.
Everybody's picking on Coco.
We might as well, entertain the audience and do a cricket 101 right there. But you
Cricket 101.
Yeah.
I need a bat.
Yeah, come on. So you'll be asking the questions and he'll be answering. No, that's not. Let's do it.
I'm the bowler.
Yeah, cricket
I
101.
actually liked your observation about everything. Did you observe there were 2 people on the field with a light blue shirt on?
Are you being Of course I do.
You know what I would actually like?
He knows.
Okay, I'm gonna ask the umpire.
I would like for one of the youth players.
Umpire, if I'm bowling like this one, what is this called?
I'm a player, right?
That's the ball.
You must have been an off spinner. I think it's a.
It's like a carom ball.
Is it a carom? Is it?
Oh, look, I'm a West Indian. I would know all of that. I can tell you what a pace bowler looks like.
Manir?
A pace grip.
What is this ball called?
Finger spin.
It's a finger spin.
Oh, let me see.
This
Yeah,
one
that's
here.
a finger. Yeah.
You know when Baker was playing, when Baker was, is it not going on like right? It's not live, right?
We're not live.
We're not live.
Let me check.
Let me check.
You know
we are.
Baker.
Oh, we're live. Hold on.
We live?
I can cut the audio.
Yeah, cut.
Yeah, let's
Cut the audio.
Brilliant.
But remember, Pete, when you get into 80s,
Just
singles. Don't try hit fours, just push singles until you get to the 100. Like 10 minutes after I sent him the message, that video was in my inbox. He is just such a good person, such a good person. So we're the game recovering.
We're back live with the chase. The first over of the Knight Riders innings. Rana Ali and Ryan Pathan opened the batting. My apologies, it's the same pair, Rizwan Sheila and Rana Ali, and it's Sridhar Rajaram opening the bowling. And it's 122 now required of 116 balls. And we will pass it back on to our able commentary team of Fawad and Brian. Harold and Kumar, as they already call it.
Which one of us is Harold? Which one is Kumar? That's hilarious.
I think like the players, our energy levels have gone down too.
I'm sure of it.
3 days. I'm pretty sure knowing these two teams, we'll end up having a really, really good game.
Ooh.
Strike by Rizwan Chima, straight to the fielder. An easy single there. Doesn't matter how difficult the situation is, he seems to make it look so easy. And that's the experience of Rizwan Chima we're talking about.
The requirement for this chase is just about a run ball. So, in one sense, it's not an insurmountable target. But then in another sense, it's right in that little tricky range where, especially with a pitch that, you know, you're not too sure about, you've seen it played, it's played pretty true, at least for the last few hours or so. But, you know, every once in a while you might have a ball that bounces a little bit more than you thought it might, or that keeps a little bit low. So all of that has to be playing on your mind. So you do think that with the firepower that these guys have, Rizwan Chima, of course, himself, and the rest of the Knight Riders, you would think that they have enough to overcome what is sort of a middling total. But runs on the board are runs on the board. And if you have 3 or 4 tight overs and all of a sudden the required rate goes up to 7 or 8, funny things can happen.
Yeah, completely agree.
Chima does what Chima does, just that easy. Fights it away over the backward square leg for 6. So, yes, we agreed that this is sort of a middling total and there may not be a whole lot of complication to the total, but normal batting in theory would get you there. But if Rizwan Chima continues doing this, then we may be looking at a 10 or 12 over chase. And fired through a little bit more quickly and pulled to sort of wide, in fact straightish mid wicket. No run. Again, fired through very quickly, but this ball is hit even further, and this one definitely is in the road. And unfortunately, we're going to need a new ball at this point. So the bowler there, I think you see this a lot with spinners. If they're bowling slowly and they get hit for 6, they try to fire the next ball in sort of Yorker length, quicker and flatter. But Chima was ready for this one, and it was maybe slightly offline, maybe a little too straight. And he got under it and absolutely deposited it over the street.
Yeah, what a nice clean hit by Rizvanchi, man. As I said earlier, he makes things look so easy out there. Even though, like he's been playing, this is his sixth consecutive game in the last 3 days. But yeah, at the moment we might be. Yeah, the players have gone out to have a look to find out the same ball, match ball I'm referring to.
You know I'm always going to come with an umpiring question. This ball is 8 deliveries old. We have a box of balls anywhere from maybe 5 overs to 20 overs old. And we have 1 or 2 new balls still around. So the choices for an umpire, assuming that we can't get that specific ball back, would be either to A, take one of the balls that is clearly older than the ball that was lost, or B, take a new ball and perhaps consider scuffing it up a little bit to match about what you would think would be 8 deliveries aged ball. What would your choice be?
Yeah, as an umpire technique, a couple of things. In such a scenario, I mean, the closest to the match ball would be a new ball. So I would be more than happy to take that. But the thing I want me to do is scuff it up on the ground, which is against to the laws of cricket. As an umpire, actually trying to rough up the condition of the ball. So it's not being advisable to us by our coaches and mentors to scuff up the ball, rather just use a new ball altogether.
This is all extremely elucidating to me, you have to understand. Even though it doesn't happen very often, I've certainly seen situations where you try to.
No, I was saying that if he has to run with the balls, the flow of the exchanges, the commentary exchanges breaks. So I went in.
So I certainly have seen situations, as umpire Myron signals wide, situations where there is a new ball or relatively new ball that's lost, and then the attempt is made to match the condition of a brand new ball to be roughly what you would think the old ball or the ball that was lost would look like. It's really good to hear that that's not a practice that's allowed or that's frowned upon.
She's not 14 or 5, 2 overs 20. So,
Here's one Shima again, punishing the ball through the covers. A diving attempt by the fielder up there in the deep. Gets his hand to it, but cannot prevent it from going into the boundary. So, 2.1 overs having been bowled. The score is 24 without loss, 2-4 without loss.
And for the folks watching live, such as the Houston Premier League, that we always have so many, and Chima pulls it, he looks to be unrelentless and in unforgiving form. So going back to the standings of the Houston Premier League, every year we have some really surprising twists and turns, and this year is no exception, with the Stars having scored 240 runs on that field back there, with 100 from Sean Finlay and 100 from Rizwan Chima Jr. Ramiz Raja Jr., my apologies. So they are defending 240 runs. So I think a very interesting situation that's developed right now is that if the UMMC Knight Riders win this game, it's all said and done and they advance to the finals. But if they lose and the Stars win over there, it really comes down to the margin and how much the net run rate would be affected by the winning margin over there and the losing margin here. So it's still kind of open. The Stars still might have a backdoor entry. It's not all said and done, but that 240 score they've notched up. And it's kind of showing from the intent of the Gladiators players and the Knight Riders especially, that Rizwan Chima is going hard after this chase, and they at this point in time cannot afford to sit back and just let run through the motions. They need to go ahead and win this game and not leave it to fate of the net run rate.
Very interesting information. I don't know that you can say that Rizwan's approach so far has been dictated by any net run rate considerations, because he's a pretty aggressive batsman. And if he's comfortable and if he doesn't have to worry about the pitch, and clearly he doesn't, the ball is there in his zone, he will punch it. So 29 without loss. Rana Ali and Rizwan Chima, the bowlers, Sankrit Batula. Reaching for this ball outside off stump, and there's a wide. You can almost tell that there was going to be a wide, because after the bowler released the ball, after Mr. Batula released the ball, sheepishly looked over his shoulder and umpire Sadiq, and I don't think he was very surprised to have seen umpire Sadiq's arms outstretched rather. Ball defended just behind point, no run.
Yeah, players are at times quite smart, they try to play with the umpire's mind. So even a look here and there, and they try to figure out, they just need a reason to, get into the skill of an umpire. Ball runs in.
Ooh.
That's it. But just a single.
Really strong arm shown there in the deep by young Sri Pare. Sri is from Austin. Sri still calls me Coach Brian. I've coached Sri now. I don't coach as much anymore, but I've coached Sri for probably the last 5 or so years. He's a fantastic young cricketer. It's no surprise to me that even at around the age of 14, maybe 15, he has been considered to join this team because he's a really, really good cricketer.
Oh, fantastic. I think even if I come here for the next few years and coach few umpires, probably won't be able to come as close to you. You never, you're such a good fellow, I'm actually feeling jealous for the young Solomon that you coached him. So. Brian, your contribution towards, bringing up to this standard of cricket in Houston, so, hats off to you. And, you're such a humble person, you haven't said anything about yourself and praising others, but it just shows the quality of a person you are. And that was a nice hit by the batter, gone for a 4. And the only reason I'm saying all these nice things is because Katrina asked me to say so.
Truly appreciate that. I'm pretty straightforward. My sole consideration at this stage in my life is what is going to be best for the development overall for cricket in this country. I've spent a lot of time, first I spent a lot of time on the field attempting to recreate what I should have been had I stayed in Jamaica, which is a devastating fast bowler and a devastating hitter. But once that dream died, I realized that the best that I could do for cricket in this country is to marshal whatever resources I could marshal to be able to make things better for people who are looking to see cricket stamped on the map. And sometimes that means showing up at a Boys and Girls Club or a Boy Scouts Club, or in Austin we have the Andy Roddick Foundation. You know Andy Roddick, the tennis player. He's actually from Austin, and so he has a foundation where he provides opportunities to underprivileged youth. And one of the things that we do is lift it. Oh, what a great catch! Get back to my story in a second. This ball was hit very hard by Rizwan Chima, but very flat and taken right at the edge of the circle at mid-off by the fielder there. So this is a really big wicket in the context of the game. Rizwan Chima, who can take the game away from you in a matter of a handful of overs, but as firmly as that ball was struck, he maybe would have wanted to have elevated it a little bit more, because as hard as it was hit, maybe at the club level that catch gets dropped. At this level, I don't think you'd ever expected for that to get dropped. So very, very hard hit, but unfortunately, Mr. Chima's day with the bat is done.
Again, the Gladiators keeping the standard, the high standard of fielding, which has happened in this tournament. And that great effort actually resulted in the danger man losing his wicket, Rizwan Chima getting out. I'll just shortly confirm the scores and the total. It'll be interesting to see how Knight Riders recover from this big loss, even though they don't have to yet push the panic button, because things are going quite smoothly for them. But I think Gladiators on the other side will think of as a big opportunity to come back strongly into the game.
I'm going to draw an analogy between cricket and American football. In American football, if there's a receiver running over the middle, which is where you can get really hit very, very hard, the ball is thrown to a wide receiver running over the middle. The coaches say, you need to catch this ball because you're going to get hit anyway. It's going to hurt either way. It's either you got hurt while catching the ball or you get hurt while dropping the ball. So in a situation like this, you'd better hold on to this catch because your arm or your hand is going to be stinging one way or the other, whether you catch it or whether you drop it. So the fielder there, mid-off, did a great job of holding on to that ball. In fact, he made it look very easy. That was not an easy catch. At the edge of a 30-yard circle, obviously a 30-yard circle being measured from this wicket. So from that end, it's about 52 yards, but it was hit very, very hard, very firmly, and he caught it. The ball got to him like a tracer bullet, to steal a phrase from Ravi Shastri, and he caught it just like he was picking a flower in his garden on Sunday morning.
Well, I can't come back with the phrase. You just nailed it completely. Yeah, I think it's. But yesterday we had Julian Fountain here. We spoke about how important this aspect of the game has become now, and how much difference it can make, and that clearly is. Having that great effort just now by the Gladiators got rid of the danger man. I'll just shortly confirm the new batter's name and provide you with the updated score. All the runs in. Inside, so Clyde. Oh, the non-striker came. And things would have been interesting had the ball hit the stumps directly. But there was a misfield. The ball did not collect it cleanly, and then the batsman took an easy single on that. Brian, with your contributions, you would have never thought, and talking about the glorious uncertainties of the game.
Sure.
You would have never thought, sitting on a hot, sticky day in Houston, talking with someone about laws of cricket, and especially a Pakistani.
That joke took a second to land. The less said about the last part of your comment, the better. But look, glorious uncertainties obviously extends to off of the field.
Sure.
When I left Austin, my impression was simply to come down, be a resource where needed, and fill in where it was needed. Obviously, as a member of the advisory board, my responsibility is to make sure that the tournament runs smoothly. Never did I think that having the tournament run smoothly would mean sitting behind the commentator's table for the entire tournament, but this has been so much fun. And I've said this to you off the air also, but the fact that you just at random showed up at this field and you were immediately drafted into the commentator's team, this entire process could not have operated without you. And it almost sounds like we're wrapping up for the tournament, but I'll probably say this again sometime tomorrow, but it's been an absolute pleasure sharing this table with you.
The batter hit the ball straight to the bowler, who, in attempt to stopping it, fall down on the pitch. No damage done on the pitch. That would be a concern with the umpire, and umpires how this game, took a couple of steps to make sure that, the pitch is still intact. Runs in, straight to the fielder at point, no run scored. No, I really appreciate Brian, you guys providing me this opportunity. Never in my dreams I would have thought of commentating the game of cricket. But actually sitting down here in a nice shade, feel sorry for the umpires standing in that, which normally is my job back in Australia. So excuse me. So this has been a great experience. Bowler runs in, bowls. Yorker left, picks it up nicely, and we'll wait for the signal, and umpire Saleh confirms that's a really good shot for a 6 over the boundary. The ball was slightly on the leg side, and the batter took advantage of it and just timed it so well that it just went for a 6. I think at this stage, right riders are just slowly and smoothly, chasing the target, just waiting for the bad deliveries, paying respect to every good delivery. The new batter's name is Rana Ali, who is at the non-striker's end. And Ryan Pathan is at the striker's end. The off-spin operating to Pathan. He tried to glide it towards the leg side. Couldn't connect the ball with the bat, and it resulted in a dot ball. This delivery was on the leg side, clearly signaled by umpire Maran James, and then he re-signaled back to the scorers. Good piece of umpiring. Bowler runs in, bowls, and Ryan Pathan smashes it up in the air. The bowler is just trying to catch it, and a really good catch of his own bowling. And then they got rid of another danger man in Ryan Pathan, who scored really nice in the first game, but could not hit the middle of the ball this time.
One wonders whether or not his injury had anything to do with that shot. From what I've seen of Ryan Pathan, he's a really good player. one would think that he would be able to get to the pitch of the ball, but one again wonders whether or not his movement was in any way restricted by the fact that he was injured for the last couple of days. So effectively he got beaten in the flight and the ball didn't quite get to the pitch, and so gave a full-blooded drive, but ended up getting the ball very high on the bat, and so the ball, instead of traveling over the top of long off where he was aiming, sort of went up in the air and was taken by the bowler himself. By the way, the best way to make sure that somebody does not drop a skied catch is to make him the bowler. A bowler will never drop his own catch, ever. So this again creates a little bit of a twist in the game. Ryan Patan goes back. Brian Ali, who's looking good so far. We'll have to confirm who the new batsman is, but at the end of the day, we will possibly be heading toward a very interesting finish here.
Runs in, shorts. Sort of Yorker length, where batsman just simply a fuller delivery, pushed for a single. By the way, for my viewer, like the fellows who are listening to us on YouTube or watching this game live, I'm with my friend Brian Walters, who has got a sheet counter in his hand, counting the runs, and every time he has to click the counter, his expression is so like a kid in a candy shop. Ball runs in. Comes in, falls, and then again push towards the leg side and the batter complete a single. In the last few overs, Gladiators have been able to get rid of 2 danger men in the squad. What are your thoughts now, Brian?
Because of the fact that the fielder running around from long on may have just injured himself a little bit there, gets up a little gingerly, but I think he's okay. As compared to the Stars, who have a lot of big hitters on the side, I would think that the Knight Riders bat relatively deep, and I would say that they tend to play more correctly. You think that they play a little bit more with a straight bat. Of course, they had Rizwan at the top of the order, who's just a blaster, but you would expect that the sort of chase that's being required of them, where normal, proper cricket will still win you the game. We're not chasing 160 or 170. You would think that they still have the advantage. Now, easily that could change with a couple more quick wickets, or in this situation where a few dot balls strung together starts building a little bit of pressure. But as of right now, if I was a betting man, my money still would be on the Knight Riders to overhaul this total. But again, cricket is a game of glorious uncertainty. And so we'll keep watching to see what happens. And I still think that this one, either way, regardless of which team wins, it feels like it's going to go down to the wire.
Yeah, your prediction so far, my friend, has been pretty much up there. You know, so I won't argue with you on that.
Is this the better?
Yes.
Rajani operating now from the bowlers and the far end of the pavilion or for the stadium. There's one to Rana. Rana cuts it. And the batsman take an easy single on that. Swapna just hit the ball for easy single. This one comes into board to runner. The fire delivery. Runner was lucky to have connected that with the ball. Ball runs in. Straight to the fielder. Couple of dot deliveries. There's one to pull the runner. Flooded delivery. Hit it straight up. Straight. Drive for a boundary 4. So fuller delivery. Came down the track and hit it cleanly over the bowler's head for a boundary 4. And that concludes the over. Even though we had a couple of dot deliveries, I think by having this boundary 4, they sort of release the pressure, and that's what they exactly need. They don't have to, rush or lose any further wickets. Just pick up the odd bad delivery and make the most out of it.
So we're going to flash back to yesterday's conversation. In fact, it may have been Thursday's conversation. You mentioned the name in passing with somebody who I met, as I told you about when I worked the Cricket All-Stars matches. So tell me a little bit about how well you know Simon Toffel and what impact has he had on you as an umpire?
Okay. Batsman just pushes it for an easy single. The first time I came across Simon was back in 2007 when I went for the first time for a Laws of Cricket school class, and he was sitting down there, so I met him for the first time. He actually did his World Cup back in 2007. Knight Riders took a single on that. So I came across him in 2007. During that year, he was still umpiring. He actually umpired till 2011. Because he was part of New South Wales Cricket Umpires Association, which I was part of after passing the exam. Slight push to the leg side, and batsman initially thought of a couple, but then decided against it and took a single. Could have been a close call. Had they gone with the second. So every now and then he used to come to our monthly meetings and we used to come across him. After his retirement, he became a manager for the elite umpires. And that's when he runs in straight to the fielder. Yeah, I used to present laws of, like sessions on laws of cricket to our meetings and seminars and all that. So that was a good dot delivery to conclude the over. So Simon, it was nice of him to just, every time I used to present, he used to come and, encouraged me of doing, what I was doing, and that's how we started having conversations and had contacts. In 2015, he was the manager of cricket umpires, elite umpires. So they were playing conditions for the World Cup in 2015. So he wanted to compile a presentation on a piece of software so that he can give it to the teams rather than verbally speaking to them. So he asked me if I could help him with that, and that from that point onwards, I was more than willing to work with the greats of the game. And that's how I started having that friendship with Simon, and then he became our umpires manager for Cricket Australia umpires, and worked with him there as well with a few tournaments. And now we just keep in touch, over the emails. Batsman cuts it. For an easy single. Well fielded, yeah.
Interesting that you say that you met in the way that you did and that you continue to stay in touch over the years. I've only met him once. Again, it was the Cricket All-Star matches. Obviously, as somebody who was working on the production side of things, I didn't necessarily have a lot to do with what happened on the field of play. But he struck me as the most warm and the most welcoming individual. And, just instinctively after when the series was over, we exchanged contact information. And before I came back home, I had an invite on LinkedIn from him. And he's just somebody who clearly has shown an ability to be warm and open and inviting. And in a couple of exchanges that we've had since then, he's just expressed any desire to be able to help in any way possible. And so somebody who obviously has not only umpired at the highest level, when he was umpiring, I thought very easily he was the best umpire in the world. But even beyond that, for somebody who is at that stature to be able to offer assistance to somebody who lives in an associate country that's not even in the top 20 in cricket in the world is something that has always stuck with me, and it's something that I really appreciate.
Yeah, no, it's his passion for the game, and even when he was umpiring on elite level, he used to get every opportunity he used to get to come to our meetings, attend, encourage people like myself, and pass on his experience. That certainly has helped, someone like myself to, work hard on my game, and just have that approach of getting better with each and every opportunity. Even like, sitting down here, watching these umpires, having a, fantastic chat with you about the game of cricket, and, picking a little bit of things, which helps me, get a better person and get a, umpire with the knowledge and experience, learning from others. So, yeah, I've been privileged enough to work with him on and off field, and still in contact with him. By the way, he's on Facebook now, so...
Oh, is it?
Yes. Finally, after giving up umpiring and all that. So, you can... Yeah, he's in my contact, so more than happy to forward that to you so you can be in contact with him. But Simon, I dearly, admire his love for the game, and his people skills are, second to none.
Struck me 35 or so years ago. I saw Vivian Richards wearing a shirt, a t-shirt that simply said, "Uniting the world through cricket." And cricket, in so many ways, is a great uniter. Chances are, you and I, no offense, would never ever have met in life had it not been for the sport. So that's something that I truly appreciate. Okay, back to the game. We are at 66 for 2. We are in the 9th over. 66 for 2 with a target of 123. So a little bit of work to be done by the Knight Riders. Bowling is being conducted from the commentator's box in by, appears to be Gaurav Bajaj. Quick single taken there, so now the score is 67 for 2. Ooh. There's the inventiveness of T20 cricket that's sneaking into the game now. Sort of a ramp shot down to fine leg, and the fielder running around from square leg. Appears to be Sri Pare, if I'm not mistaken. And the fielder, or the runners, in fact, run 2 runs. So score now 69 for 2. Ball is just kind of punched into the onside. Not much urgency by the batsman to get anything more than 1 run. So single taken. We've passed 70. Gaurav Bajaj bowling to a pair of Rana Ali and Swapnil Salve. Ball lifted over the top of backward point. That may run away close to the boundary, and in fact gets there now. 4 runs. Gaurav maybe being a little bit wider than he wanted to be on that occasion, and batsman taking full advantage of the width offered to him, crashes it over the top of backward point for 4 runs. 74 for 2. We are in the 10th over.
Yes.
Driven down now to long off. Fielded easily. Return to the middle, sort of a underhanded throw. And single ends the over. Umpire Myron James calls over. As a good umpire would. 75 for 2 is the score, and we are halfway through the innings. So we are at the 3/4 point of this entire match. Where's your money after 3/4 of the match?
I think Night Riders are just cruising along really well. No need to take any risks. Just do what they're doing at the moment. They've got plenty of balls. They've got good, few good batters still to come. I think it's unless and until Gladiators take like a few wickets, it might be a one-sided game.
You would expect that there would be several wickets to fall to cause any amount of concern in the Night Riders camp. The sun beating down on the field, beating down on the players. You see several maybe unsanctioned water breaks.
Sure.
And the bowling now being taken up from the opposite end. I will get you the name of this bowler in just a second. Well, punched back down under the offside by Rana Ali. No run. Bowler is Niraj Deer. Niraj Deer. Well played again through the offside. To the right of that fielder at extra cover, and the fielder out at long off runs around and picks up. Another single. Total now moves to 76. And the batsman on strike is now Swapnil Salve. Oh, big pull there, aimed for by Swapnil. Gets a thick on the edge, ball rolls to fine leg. Not a lot of control over that shot, but fortunately for him, he missed the stumps and ran back down to short fine leg position. They run a single, score moves to 77 for 3. Short, punched away over the top, down to the sweeper, cleaning up on the offside. Another single, so not a lot of urgency in terms of running between the wickets for the Knight Riders. One might think that they are confident in the eventual result of this game such that they're not necessarily pushing to turn those ones into twos. And this ball again is now punched down to the deep on the leg side. Fielder out there on square leg comes off of the boundary, retrieves, sends it back inside. Yet another single, score now moves to 78 for 3. 78 for 3. Hammered right back past the ball. In fact, he sticks his left foot out, probably deflects slightly off of his left foot and rolls down to fielder at long off. Another single to conclude the over, and at the end of the over, the score is now 79 for 3. 79 for 3. Check that, 79 for 2. At the end of the 11th over, 79 for 2. So check that, the score is now 80 for 2, 80 for 2 at the end of the 11th over. Oh, late cut, delicate late cut, runs away very fine. It's going to get very close to the boundary. Sliding attempt and a sliding stop, in fact. The fielder running around from short third man. The batter is able to get 2 runs, and so a really delicate late cut. You don't see that shot played very often in cricket anymore. 82 for 2 in the 12th over. Rana Ali is on strike. Oh, driven right back in a fantastic return catch taken there by the bowler Gaurav Bajaj. For a split second, it appeared that as though that might have been a bump ball, but no, in fact, it came cleanly off the face of the bat. And Bajaj in his follow through just reaches down and plucks that ball a couple of inches off the ground. The third wicket falls, a big wicket at that. Rana Ali, who was very well set and was looking to be very dangerous from this point on, but he, unfortunately, his days ended with the bat. He walks off toward the pavilion, and the third wicket falls. 82 for 3. 82 for 3. So a new batsman joins us. We'll confirm exactly who that batsman is here shortly, but New batsman is Janissar Khan. 82 for 3 is the score. This ball is pushed through very quickly to start proceedings by Gaurav Bajaj. Sorry, by Niraj. No, in fact, it's Gaurav Bajaj. Pushes it back down the wicket. Does Janissar Khan to start his innings. 1 delivery, 1 run. Ball is pulled away down to the deep corner position. Single. And if I'm not mistaken, I just saw umpire Myron James signal 1 ball remaining. He also signals right arm over in his expansive method. This ball is outside off stump and a little too wide for the liking of Myron James. So with the extra having been conceded, the score moves on to 85 to 3. Ball defended by Janissar Khan. No single taken as the fielder in the covers was very quick to pounce onto the ball. May have been incorrect because now it appears that the final ball is about to be bowled. Flats pushed behind square by Janissar. Fielded on the boundary there by Sri Pare. Throw comes back in, and that concludes the over. So 86 for 3 at the end of 12. So 86 for 3. Are we meandering towards an easy victory here by Night Riders?
An early finish is always a good thing.
Anything that gets us out of the sun.
Even the body language of the players is like, they had it kind of thing. Let's see how Janissar Khan goes now. Comes in. Takes a single and then without taking any unnecessary sort of risk, decided to keep it as a single. They rush to bowl, swamply. And then upper ridge, sort of away from the bowler. And ended up being a dot delivery, which really doesn't matter to the Night Riders. Bowler runs in, drives it, and they settle for a single. Runs in. Janissar tries to cut it. Even though I've just come across Janissar in the last 2 days, 2 to 3 days, but he's someone who just, not that other players don't do it, but Janissar pushes it for a single. And he gives it at 100% with his bowling, batting, fielding. He's just a passionate person. And even in the first game when he got out a bit early, he was so disappointed with himself. Ball 2. Running for the second. A direct throw. And both umpires are getting together over there. Interesting to see what discussion they're having there. really can't tell. But that was end of the over. And then we'll have Gaurav continuing from the pavilion end to Janasa from Gaurav to continue. Janasa plays a full forward defensive shot straight to the fielder.
So once again, another umpiring question. A huge swipe outside off stump, missed by Janissar. Fielders appealing, or the keeper and the bowler appealing for catch behind, but Bar James is not interested. Frequently you'll see a batter rushing to complete a run. He runs in, slides his bat, he and the ball arrive towards the stumps just about at the same time. The ball misses the stumps, check that. Defended by Swapnil, and they run back by Janissar, and they run a single. The ball misses the stumps, hits either the batsman on his body or the batsman's bat. 99 times out of 100, what you will see is that the batsmen do not attempt a second run, and in fact sometimes just simply pick the ball up and flip it to one of the members of the fielding side. Two questions. Number one, is that ball still alive? And number two, are they obligated to not take a run in those circumstances?
Janasa, is it hard for an easy single? See, to start with, cricket is considered to be a gentleman's game. So, as you said, majority of the times, batsmen will opt not to take any runs on it. Batsman just pushes it for a single. But if they decide against it and take runs, there's nothing in the laws which stops us from, as like umpires, to do anything. It's sort of game on. It might not go popular with the fielding side, and that it consequences can be against the spirit of the game, and there might be other things happening. So yes, we want to intervene, and in a situation where the ball hits it so hard that it goes off to the boundary, that will be a boundary 4. It actually might result in, depending on how many runs they have taken. So let's say they took a single, and that's when it went to the boundary. So that will be 5 runs. But because depending on what sort of level we're doing a game, if we're doing a local game, so we can't signal 5. So we will signal 4, jot down into a diary, and at any possible interval, we'll just let the scorers know and confirm whether they recorded 5 or not. Batsman pushes and they take a couple of runs there. Swapnil is playing on 22 of 26 deliveries. To signal a 5, I'll give you a tip. If you signal the way you signal 6, if you signal a 6 and straight up you signal a short run, that can be a signal for a 5, isn't it?
So what I just heard you say is, in an instance where it occurs the way that I just described, if they were running a single, they've completed the single and the ball ricochets off of, let's say, the bat and runs away for 4, they would get a total of 5.
Correct.
If the same thing happened when they were completing the 3rd run, do they get 7?
Right.
And if it doesn't go all the way to the boundary, it's still a live ball. It's maybe up to the batting team whether or not the 2 or 3 extra runs that they get are worth trashing the spirit of cricket over. So it may be one of those things that falls into the category of it's a gentleman's game, maybe for the same reason why you would warn a batsman who is maybe looking to take off a little bit early before the bowler is into his delivery stride. So you're not obligated to warn him, but it's sort of expected because of the spirit of cricket that you do.
Batsman pushes down to the leg side and Jarvis Khan complete 2 runs. Yeah, there are a lot of occasions where, you know, things do happen like that. So there's a provision there, like, you know, for example, what we discussed yesterday, that if you know, as a batter, sort of pushes the ball to the steady mid-on or mid-off, but if they are unable to pick it and you pick it yourself with a good gesture, if they're beat for it, you know, what can you do? Batsman pushes ball point and take a quick single. Yeah, so I think that's why I was trying to tell you a good approach, a good technique, that, you know, just firing the batsman out. You know, there's no harm in sort of letting the captain know. Still leave the onus on them, that, you know, what do they consider. But if they opt to go for appealing for such things, you know, they can't help. But majority of the captains, you know, they are responsible. They know, you know, how to conduct a game in a good spirit and all that. So it's, but you come across tricky situations and you try to do your best. But yeah, but again, if the ball comes off the bat and goes to the boundary, it's an unfortunate thing. But as an umpire, you signal 4, and as I said, you then confirm with the scorers whether they got the 5 runs or not. Had they crossed already into a single, so yeah, it's not an easy job, my friend, being an umpire. And on top of that, you know, the funny thing is, let's say you do a 4-day game and you absolutely belter, like, you know, without any dramas, any issues, no decision asked. Let's say you make a judgmental error in the last over of the day. So you had a 3.5 or more than that good days of cricket, but you just made 1 error. Guess what? When the captain's meeting happens and they ask you, oh, how did the umpires go? They won't remember anything except for that decision. So, yeah, it's funny, you know, it just amazes me that, but you come across captains who actually appreciate the 3.5 days and then just say, you know, that probably on this occasion something got wrong, so yeah.
Punched into the offside. Extra cover region inside the circle has been a pretty hot spot for the majority of the day. Flighted delivery on this occasion by Gaurav Bajaj. And hit time, this time it's hit behind square on the offside. No run.
It's precious, you know, you can't use it every time.
Ball punched down the ground by Janissar. Another single. So we are, by my count, 104 for 3. Target of 1, 2, 3. So we're about 19 runs away from this game being finished. And the Night Riders are choosing to do it in singles. Nothing at all wrong with that. So we await our overall maestro, Munir Majid, to come back and let us know what the details are regarding the standings. But we very well could be seeing round 1 of the finals going to the Night Riders. Nevertheless, it's going to be a very interesting game. Again, I used to use an analogy. Use an analogy that's used in in American sports a lot because, let's say, for example, in the National Football League, you play a team usually twice in your division throughout the course of the season, and then you probably, in some circumstances, meet them again in the playoffs. And the older rule is that no one team is going to beat another team 3 times inside 1 year. So in theory, you could say, if you're choosing to apply that mindset to this game, that just because the Knight Riders appear to be winning this game very easily, there's nothing that says that the Gladiators couldn't come back tomorrow and absolutely turn things around the other direction. So, regardless of how this game is ending, tomorrow still promises to be a really, really interesting and a really, really exciting day.
Yeah, spot on, my friend. This actually reminds me of Mickey Arthur complaining about, in the World Cup point table, New Zealand and Pakistan end up being on 11 points each. But New Zealand, because of their higher run rate, went on to play the semi-finals. But because in the round games, Pakistan beat New Zealand. So Mickey Arthur was saying, rather than going on with the run rate, why don't you consider the round games?
Yeah.
And which makes sense to me. Not because I'm a Pakistani, but
So that has nothing to do with it. A major part of being a leader in a sport, in an organization, is politicking for your team. Pretty sure that's exactly what Mick Arthur was doing.
Yeah. Tim tries to cut it.
It's really one throw. Okay, Sri Pare again with a beautiful piece of fielding in the outfield, running around from sort of a wide short third man position. This ball was cut very fine. In fact, it was an outside edge, and it ran down and prevented the team from scoring any runs. In fact, they prevented them from scoring more than one. So another single taken here, if I'm not mistaken, that puts us to about 107, 108. We'll verify that shortly. But again, we're sort of petering in the 17th over. We're petering away meandering away to what seems to be a pretty likely victory here by the Knight Riders. So Manira, I know that all the results are not in yet, but can you enlighten us as to the likely scenarios under which the game tomorrow might be played?
Yeah, Brian. We're going to just now, since you pointed out, we'll head over to punch-cricket.com and see what's the latest from the backfield, the Bulkeys field, that is. And looks like, okay. So the Stallions ended on 203 for 7 in 20 overs, chasing 240. So the winning margin in that game was 37 runs. And I'm going to switch to the standings now. And the result of that game is in. Stars end their campaign with 3 wins and 3 losses out of 6 games with a net run rate of minus 0.07. As of this moment, the Knight Riders have a net run rate of 0.29. If they were to lose this game, they just needed to make sure their run rate doesn't drop under 0.07 negative. But by the look of it, they're well on course to win this game. So I don't think it's ever going to come down to the net run rate. It rather seems they might end up topping the table if they beat the Gladiators, because both teams would have won 4 games out of 6, and Knight Riders would then have a better net run rate than the Gladiators. So everything's been so fluid and open in this last final round of games. It's pretty interesting.
Looking at the Stars and spoke to Munir about it. You know, their luck was exactly like Pakistan cricket team in the World Cup point table, where they had to win against a certain team, and then some other team had to lose, and they had to have a better run rate. That's all confusing, my friend. So just win the game and just qualify. Keep the equation simple. But no. On the south line. Okay, straight to the bowler. But no, to their credit, I think Knight Riders have played really good cricket throughout the course of these 3 days, and they deserve to be on top of the table. And by the looks of it, they're cruising towards it. Well, good comeback by the bowler. So Anasa tried to drive that, but missed it.
I was wondering why you didn't choose to sit directly in the sun.
I'm leaning back every chance I get.
Now you know what Majid said. After they finish a day's game, day's play, they just sort of go and forget about the game. What they did, just relax. Have a good night's sleep. Enjoy the meal, have a good night's sleep, and come fresh, energetic. To finish off the things, or have a good day of cricket again. So I think we know their strategy. But Gladiators, if they lose this game, they have to have some strategies in place to overcome their weaknesses from today's game, and making sure that that doesn't happen tomorrow.
So, Munir, I'm wondering why the partnership breaker is only now bringing himself on. I think outside edge gets the ball all the way down to third man. In fact, I was shielded by the fielder down that long on, so I didn't exactly see how the ball got there, but either way, we are now, I believe, 11 runs away from victory. 11 runs needed off of 16 balls.
Yes.
So 11 from 16 needed. Oh, reverse sweep, cheeky. It's going to be at least 2 more. And in fact, it goes all the way for 4. So we need 9 runs now off of 15 balls. Once again, the standard disclaimer, I stand to be corrected if that's not accurate, but 4.
It's just 17. 76 out of it.
Let me teach you how to read the scorecard.
This was
So 9 needed off of 15. So that's now going around the wicket. Ooh, this is glanced away very fine. It's going to be at least 2 more runs. Easy to, in fact, taken by the runners as the throw comes in from the deep. 7 needed off of 14 balls. So even I can do that run rate. 3 per over. You don't need to be a CPA like under Cameron Best here. You don't need to have a master's in finance like I do to be able to complete that calculation. So, an updated score will be coming shortly.
Sam की कमरे में होगा उसको ये जर्सी पहनने का तो वही जर्सी यहाँ पे रखना चलो हम कुछ ऐसा करते हैं
So this is the final over this. Penultimate over.
Yeah.
Okay. ball chipped to sort of mid-wicket region and they run a quick single. So while we are updating or attempting to obtain an accurate scorecard, we do believe that there's about 6 runs remaining in this chase. And the dosage is repeated that exaggerated scoop shot over, short, fine leg, another single. Again, by our count, 5 runs to go for victory, with 10 runs, or 10 balls rather, to be bowled in the match. Full toss, driven back down the ground, and we are walking a single. 4 from 9. Tanasar is not happy. Maybe he thought he should have gotten more utility out of that juicy full toss that was served up to him. Ooh. Speaking of juicy full tosses, this is not that, but this is absolutely blasted over the top of wide long on. 6 runs, and I do believe that that ends the game. So a convincing victory by the Knight Riders in a game that, frankly, even though it's only just now officially finished, the result really never was in doubt. So pretty convincing victory in the end.
Yeah, Knight Rider, even though they lost a couple of wickets, but then they kept their smooth momentum and easily chased the total without any panic. But well done to the teams for putting up with this heat and playing, but still producing a good game of cricket. And I'll pass it on to Munir to wind up the day's play for us. Thank you.
So, as we anticipated, the final table has been updated. All teams have played 6 games each. And we are going to bring you live graphics of that final table pretty soon as we watch the players head into the dressing rooms, and they are shaking hands right now.
Yeah.
As a punishment, sitting or sitting.
Clearly. I think you're the one that had me running around on my shoulders now.
Oh.
You're the working class.
You still got a lot of turn, man.
Bureaucrats get to stay inside in the air
You
conditioning.
still have a lot of turn, man. A lot of turn still.
Anybody can turn the ball on grass.
Hey.
Doing it out there is one thing.
You're right, you had a turn. You can. Yeah, swing.
What time tomorrow?
World champion?
Yeah, what time the game? What time tomorrow?
Seeing tomorrow?
Should we the same thing, 2 p.m. or let's discuss it? 2 p.m. What do you agree? 12. We talked about this already. We talked to the captain already. Yeah, they sometimes want to delay it further because they need some time off. No, I understand the time off. That's why we're going to start 9:30. The schedule I sent you, the schedule published before the tournament was always 2 p.m. So we asked them that do you want to move it to the morning? They're like, if you look at us. No, I didn't say that on the morning. I didn't say nothing about morning. I'm just saying 2 p.m. is kind of late though. Let's discuss it. If they're okay with 2 p.m., if they don't want to do earlier, because sometimes we do, usually during the tournaments on the Sunday, we usually have it a little bit earlier. Yeah. Because people are there traveling. Yeah, and I checked it already. Because he's going to jogging to Dallas.
Austin, man, it's like, you know,
I can tell you, I'm flying to South Carolina Monday morning. So don't let that interfere with your planning, but if you ask me
bring
what's
them
my
both
preference.
out there, we sit down, have a discussion with all 4 of them. Let's see.
pitch, right?
There's a lower part of the ground for Moosa.
Yeah. No, I think I'll just three.
Brian Walters again, and we're back at Moosa Stadium. We have a couple of really interesting guests. First one, selfishly in my mind, is the person who I'm most interested in talking to. Sri Pare is from Austin. Sri, I've known Sri since he was a very, very young kid. He used to run in and I used to teach him how to bowl. I used to teach him how to bat. All of that is in the past because he's graduated past my level of coaching now and is in an advanced coaching program. Sri, it is a pleasure to see you here in Houston. How do you feel about playing in the Houston Premier League?
Yeah, it's a high level of cricket, so you just want to try to learn from the big players. Like, just try to get as much as you can, and whenever you get your chance, like, make the most of it. Like, try to make a name for yourself as well.
So you played in 2 games so far? One. Okay, so today you were on as a substitute fielder?
Yeah.
So I'll get back to the game that you played in a second. But just watching your fielding, I think it's obvious, and we remarked several times in commentary, that you have a really, really strong throwing arm. And I knew that from the time that we lived we played together in Austin. So talk about how important it is, even if you're not batting, even if you're not bowling, talk about how important fielding is in a way that you can impact the game.
Yeah, so even if you're out of form with the bat and ball, like, you'll still be in the side for your fielding, like, and people can, like, depend on you. Like, if someone gets injured, you can come in and field, and they always, like if you're tied with someone in batting or bowling, they'll look at fielding to see who's in the playing 11 and whatnot.
Okay, so back to the game that you played in, you had the opportunity to bat. You came in the end of the innings, I think it was maybe 2 overs to go, and so you were trying to hit out. So you got caught, if I remember correctly, at mid-wicket. Nobody's going to hold that against you because in the situation where you came in, you're required to hit. But what I want to talk about with batting, however, is you're batting in the Austin League. You're playing in an adult league in Austin, you're playing against men much bigger and much older than you, yet you're able to hold your own. Talk to me a little bit about your experiences playing in that league.
Yeah, so I don't look at it as like an adult or anything. I look, once we're on the cricket field, it doesn't matter who you are, we're all the same. Like, I'm a player, like, if it's your day, it's your day. If it's my day, it's my day. Like, I mean, I don't feel like I'm like not, I don't feel like someone is superior to me. Like, if he's a good bowler, I'll play the ball, I don't play the bowler. And same when I bowl, like, it doesn't matter who you are, if I bowl you a good ball, I'm gonna get you.
So that confidence, bordering on arrogance, where does that come from?
Just self-belief.
Tell me more about that.
Yeah, so like, it doesn't matter who doubt you or like who doubt your skill, like, as long as you believe in yourself and you get your chance and you prove yourself, like, it doesn't matter if the world's against you. You can prevail.
Okay. And of course, your younger brother is also a cricketer. And I've seen him develop his skills along the way. So what's his cricket like these days?
Yeah, he's bowling quick and he's batting pretty well. He's a good fielder. I think he'll play big cricket better than me when he grows up. He's better.
And finally, as you are a youth player, you're obviously under 19. There are opportunities that develop from time to time, not only in tournaments like this, but going forward into the future, there may be opportunities to play at an even higher level. What's the furthest that you want to go in cricket?
Yeah, it's the highest level I can, like, get better every day. Whatever the highest level is, I want to try to get there.
Sri Pare, I'm extremely proud of you. You did very well. Thank you.
Thank you. My coach, I'm leaving.
Oh. You go back to Austin?
No, we have finals tomorrow.
Oh, okay. I can't see you. Back at Moosa Stadium, and I'm joined by Shreyan Satish. Shreyan, I've just spoken to Sri Pare, who I know very well. I don't know you as well. And so I suspect that many of the people who are seeing you right now don't know you as well. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, I am a hometown citizen in Houston. I've been living here most of my life, and I love the game. I love cricket, and I just want to show my passion out on the field and just do whatever it takes to help my team, whatever team I'm playing for.
That is an absolutely wonderful answer. who do you play for here in Houston, and what is your role?
For Youth League, I play for NWCC Youth Club, and my role is an all-rounder, but for the HPL, I am part of the UMMC Night Riders.
And what's your experience like playing for the Night Riders? Some of those guys are really experienced, some of them have played a really high level of cricket. How do you feel going into a locker room with those guys?
It honestly doesn't feel like anything different than my regular locker room. They made me feel like at home. All the senior players, it made me feel like it was no different than my regular youth game.
So the first game I saw you play, I noticed that your captain, you know, if you're sometimes thinking if you're on the field and you're a young kid, your captain might put you in an area where you might not get the ball very often. You know? So he might have you at fine length, or he might have you sweeping on the offside. You were at gully in the power play. You're a gully where if somebody slashes a pace ball and that ball is coming to you extremely, extremely hard. What's it feel like to be in a situation where your captain has that much confidence in you?
Well, it feels really good. I'm not thinking all of that whenever I'm playing on the game. I'm just trying to watch the ball as closely as I can and stop it.
And if you get the opportunity to play cricket, obviously you're playing in HPL and you're playing in Houston. If you had the opportunity to take your cricket to another level, what would that level be?
I think first I want to play USA cricket. That's my first goal. And then I want to go to the upper leagues, the GT20 in Canada, or even IPL or Big Bash.
So you're aiming all the way to the top. You said IPL. Okay, if you were in the IPL, what team would you want to play for?
I'm a CSK fan, so that's my team.
So you're playing for the CSK. Let's say it is the year 2025 and you're playing for CSK. What role are you playing for them?
Finisher role and I can fire down some medium pacers as well.
I absolutely love your enthusiasm. It is a pleasure meeting you and good luck the rest of the tournament. Thank you. We're just talking to the future of cricket in the US, and these two young men, I think, have really made a really important impact on cricket here, not only in the Houston Premier League, but I think in cricket going forward for the rest of the year. So, signing off from Moosa Stadium, if you are able to come down to the stadium at 4 p.m. tomorrow, 4 p.m. sharp is when the final is going to be played, please come down. We would love to see you, and we'll see you then. Thank you.